Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
It's the Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
Welcome back, folks. This is the Roger Stone Show at 77 WABC. And our next guest is Garrett Ziegler. Garrett Ziegler worked with distinction in the Trump White House, working with the martyred Peter Navarro, a great man who is being unfairly treated by the weaponized Justice Department, even as we speak. Garrett Ziegler is the head of the nonprofit organization Marco Polo USA. You can find them at marcopolousa.org. And Garrett Ziegler has taken on the incredible task of reviewing, printing, and annotating all of Hunter Biden's laptop contents, which he has made available both in printed form and in a downloadable form. And yes, folks, some of the images have been blurred because, it's not family content, shall we say. No one has followed the Hunter Biden saga closely than Garrett Ziegler. He is doing an amazing job under attack by the Biden family. He and I have both had to tangle with Hunter Biden's lawyers. I want to welcome Garrett Ziegler to the Roger Stone Show.
Thank you, Roger. I appreciate it. It's a good opportunity.
Really glad to have you. You went to the trial. You sat through it.
Yes.
I saw a story in which Hunter's former sister-in-law attacked you as a Nazi. You didn't even approach her. All you were doing was sitting there. I thought that was an ad hominem attack. But as you say, there's so much to talk about here. Let's kind of start at the beginning. I still find it shocking that the only crime that Hunter Biden is being prosecuted for is this gun-related charge, when there are much, much bigger crimes here. In your own 640-page comprehensive report on the Biden laptop, which has over 2,020 citations and attached documents, you determined that there were at least 459 crimes committed by the Biden family and their business associates, breaking that down to 140 business crimes, 191 sex crimes, 128 drug crimes. We haven't even gotten to the foreign agents registration failure and what could constitute treason. So I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to let you take it from there.
Well, I look at it as, and thank you for going through that, I look at it as a three-rung ladder. The one in Delaware last week is on the third rung. It's like C-grade criminality. Ironically, one of the three charges that Hunter was convicted of is unconstitutional. And I'm a Second Amendment absolutist, and 18 U.S.C. 922G is clearly unconstitutional. Just because somebody's a user shouldn't deprive them of the ability to defend themselves with a firearm. And so that may be reversed at SCOTUS, but the other two are cut and dry. He lied on the form. You can't lie on a form. The form is constitutional. So that's a big irony of this, and you alluded to his second wife, Melissa Cohen, coming up and accosting me. I never responded to her. It wasn't the time and place. We were right outside of the courtroom. I was getting a drink from the water fountain. I never said one word to them the entire day. And I bring that up just because we've been fair to Hunter this entire time. We can see that this Delaware trial, he was clearly guilty of 2 of the 3 charges, but this is a special counsel that wants to be able to hold up a trophy and say, hey, look, we're applying the law equally to everybody. No one is above the law, quote unquote. And we've said this from the very beginning, that this 3-rung ladder, the third rung that they're charging him on, is the least important and maybe shouldn't have even been brought. It's that first and second rung that we care about. And the second rung will be tried in September in Los Angeles, starting September 5th. I'll be in the courtroom every day for that one, too. I'm trying to work out lodging so I don't lose my rear end on lodging in L.A. But that's going to be a 3-week trial. And all of the press about their crocodile tears and having to listen to Hunter go through the quote-unquote throes of addiction. First of all, they talk about him like he's a 21-year-old undergrad who just got a hold of coke and can't beat it. This guy's 54. He's double my age, and they treat him with kids' gloves. He has a daughter that's older than me. So this, he needs to buck up and act like a 54-year-old male, and the press needs to start talking about him like they would any other 54-year-old. So the Delaware trial lasted 6 days. I was there every day. His family's nuts. Jill, Ashley, Melissa, they were all gesticulating, whispering in the gallery while the prosecutor was talking. It was very distracting, probably both to the jury and the other people in the gallery. It was very inappropriate. When Derek Hines, the AUSA, held up the physical device, the laptop, which exonerates you, me, everyone, Rudy, when he held up that device, it was entered as Exhibit 16. Jill and Ashley and Melissa were shaking their head. And, of course, they're flanked by Secret Service officers, the U.S. Marshals. And so it's an imbalance. The picture's not balanced. You have all these other people, normal folk, following the rules and not making any commotion in the gallery. But the people who have Secret Service officers. So I think it was a tacit intimidation tactic to have Jill there, because when Jill was there, you had more SS officers. So, I think they'll be turning now to that second rung. I think there will be vast pressure on Hunter to plead out, because they know, based on the indictment, that this second trial is so much more important, because it will touch on Joe. Not completely. We're not going to get to that first rung of FARA violations of money laundering, because Weiss doesn't have the strength of character to do that. The special counsel, he's too corrupt. But the final charge, meaning by final I simply mean the oldest charge in that indictment, is 2016, when Joey was still VP. So there'll be a lot about Joey in this September trial, and it'll be within 60 days of the election. There's going to be so much pressure, and Abby Lowell will apply it to Hunter to plead out in that California trial. That is going to be so bad for them that I don't think they'll want him to go through with it.
Yeah, I'm particularly sensitive to the California issues, which are basically built around taxes. I'm sick of reading on the internet that Roger Stone and his wife evaded $2 million worth of taxes, but they weren't prosecuted. And as a federal judge said when Abby Lowell tried to raise that argument at trial in Delaware, the Stones tax case and Hunter's are like apples and oranges. Hunter Biden failed to report almost $10 million in income. That's tax evasion. My wife and I reported every single penny. We also accurately reported all of our meager assets. As for tax evasion, I made a monthly payment of $19,960 every month for 8 years until the Mueller investigation bankrupted me. So there's no tax evasion on my part. And here's the great irony when they say, oh, Stone got a break. Really? I owe the IRS now $2 million. 75% of that is interest and penalties on which the government will give me no break whatsoever. And all the taxes in question go all the way back to 2006. So while Prosecutor Weiss, U.S. Attorney Weiss, let numerous tax charges against Hunter Biden toll out time-wise, he let the statute of limitations run. They filed specifically against me because the statute of limitations, despite my regular payments, was about to run, and the Mueller investigation had bankrupted us. I'm a little sensitive on this point, so that's why I had to bring it up.
No, it's a great point, and the only value I have in that is I have studied the judge who you just said called it apples and oranges, Mary Ellen Noreika. She's the one on July 26, 2023, blew up the plea deal by simply asking, okay, which conduct does this cover in terms of future immunity? That's all she had to do. She asked a third-grade question, and Hunter's attorneys lost their minds because they thought it covered everything, FARA, et cetera. And, Mary Ellen was fair throughout the trial. It's hard to deal with Abbe Lowell. He's so arrogant and condescending. But I consider, Mary Ellen is a lifelong bachelor. She's sort of like that nerdy older sister that you would have loved to cheat off of in high school. That's how I described her to someone. She's only been on the bench since 2019, and she only practiced IP law for 25 years. So her ability, I was impressed with her ability to conduct a criminal trial, considering in her private and previous life, she not only wasn't a judge at any level, she was only handling civil litigation, which is so different in terms of witnesses, objections. Abbe Lowell, for God's sake. I mean, Abbe Lowell should have had his deputy, David Kalansky, who was 29, argue the case. You could tell the jury wasn't impressed by Abbe Lowell because he's so condescending and ugly and a gremlin-looking character. His young guy did a couple of cross-examinations, and I thought he did a phenomenal job. And that's why, again, the Biden's attacks on me personally and our group are so ridiculous, because they've never accused us of being untruthful, right? We try to see things fairly and be honest. It is an honest take that Abbe Lowell is a lying scoundrel. That doesn't mean we hate everybody on Hunter's defense team and want to see him die. That's not our point, right? We call balls and strikes, and the fact of the matter is the guy's laptop is full of criminal activity. Even the corrupt FBI agrees with us. So I think by calling me a Nazi, Roger, they're trying to, like you said, engage in the lowest form of logical fallacy, which is ad hominem. They never talk about our work. And, weirdly, Melissa Cohen helped us sell 450 reports in a day. So that's why we're on back order. And I appreciate you being kind and sorry for being late. I had a meeting with the printers today at 9 to try to get us back up and running.
Folks, if you want to get that great tome put together by Marco Polo USA, you can go to marcopolousa.org. They may be back ordered a bit, but Garrett assures me that the printed versions will be available soon. He sent me several. I've given mine to Patrick Bet-David and Vincent Oshana and others. This is an impressive piece of work. There's no opinion here. These are the facts. They're very carefully annotated to help you understand them, but everything here is factual, and it is shocking. Given the fact that my friend and ex-partner Paul Manafort was charged with failure to file a Foreign Agents Registration Act in connection to his business in Ukraine, even though he himself never actually lobbied any U.S. government official, and the two lobbyists that he hired to work for Ukraine, former Congressman Vin Weber, a Republican, and Tony Podesta, a Democrat, neither one of them who actually did the lobbying were charged with failure to file a Foreign Agents Registration Act while being paid by Ukraine. I'm having a hard time understanding why Hunter Biden and other members of his family are not being charged with the failure to file this lobbying registration. I mean, you look at these numbers that came out of the House Oversight Committee. They now have actual bank records. It's not a conspiracy theory, folks, showing that members of the Biden family, Hunter, Jimmy, Sarah, Haley, some of the Biden grandchildren, hauled in $18 million from foreign countries and foreign sources, I should say, since Biden was vice president. $3.99 million from Ukraine, $7.28 million from China, $3.5 million from Russia, $1.4 from Romania, $1.4 from Panama, $1.17 from Kazakhstan, Mexico, and Syria. These seem to me to be the most obvious crimes. Let me answer my own question. Is the reason they are not pursuing these is because they lead directly to Joe Biden himself?
Yes, that was the product they were selling. In that warped business model, that was it. He was the chairman, as they called him, the big guy, and he was it. Nobody was paying Hunter for his intelligence because he's not. They were paying him for access to Joey, and it's such a great point you bring out about Manafort. Hey, this is news. Within the day, we had somebody, a volunteer of ours, go to the probation office for the District of Delaware to obtain Hunter Biden's mugshot, because back in September, they said, we cannot give you it because it's a pending case. Well, he's convicted now. So like clockwork, I made a calendar note that said, whenever this case is done, go get the mugshot. Well, they denied us for no reason whatsoever. They put us on a goose chase. We went to the probation office. They said no. Send us to the U.S. Marshals, who does the processing. They said no. The clerk said no. And the reason why I bring this up, Roger, is because these gremlins, Andrew Weissman and all these other demonic people, when they arrested Manafort, they made sure to go to the Alexandria. They put him in the Alexandria station so that his mugshot would be released, because they know the local folks will do it. So and don't even get me started on the leaking to CNN and raiding your home. I think of your entire situation, that makes me the most mad. A freaking television crew, videoing how your wife and you were terrorized. It makes me fume. And so we can't even get Hunter's mugshot. And they did that on purpose to Manafort. It is righteous indignation in this superlative. And that's what drives me. And I think part of the reason why Melissa's so mad is that they know I'm not stopping. This is the top 5 story of the century so far. You got 9/11, DJT winning, and a couple of other things. And then you got this, because the cover-up is so bad and the family is so disgusting. I mean, the president's son, who he said was one of the most decent men ever, just yesterday, they're not even walking back from it. That most decent man ever, got his sister-in-law, who he was screwing, hooked on crack cocaine. I mean, these are degenerates, and they don't even fess up to it. It's one thing if they said, you know what, I was in the dark, now I'm in the light. They don't even address it, and then they call you insane for bringing it up.
Yeah, it's really extraordinary. Folks, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Garrett Ziegler, who is the head of Marco Polo USA, a nonprofit organization which has taken it upon themselves to educate the American people regarding the actual contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, a laptop that we now know definitively is genuine, is authentic. despite the fact that members of the Biden family were vigorously shaking their heads no. And Congressman Dan Goldman, who's in a three-way contrast with Jamie Raskin and Adam Schiff to see who can be the most odious member of Congress. I think Raskin may be slightly ahead at this point. He just last week, once again, saying that the laptop had been tampered with. There is no evidence of that whatsoever. Folks, you're listening to Roger Stone. We're talking to Garrett Ziegler with Marco Polo USA, and we'll be right back.
It's the Roger Stone Show on 77 WABC.
Welcome back, folks. We're talking to Garrett Ziegler, former Trump White House aide, now heading the Marco Polo USA organization, which is a nonprofit which has dedicated itself to educating the American people about the actual contents of Hunter Biden's laptop. Like me, Garrett Ziegler has been threatened by the attorneys for Hunter Biden. In my case, they simply told me that if I didn't stop talking about this on this show and also on my daily podcast show, The Stone Zone, well, they would sue me. They also implied somehow that I knew in advance about the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, that they had some convoluted Kevin Morris, the sugar daddy who paid Hunter's taxes, some convoluted theory that this had passed through my hands through a mutual friend of Garrett's and mine, Tyler Nixon, an excellent attorney. This is all fiction, folks. Everything I know about Hunter Biden's laptop, I learned in three places: the New York Post, Breitbart News, and the amazing report put out by Marco Polo. So they have really tried to use lawfare to shut you down as well, Garrett. Tell us about that.
Yes, and, I must say they even tried to bring in Keith Abloh on that, and Keith Abloh had nothing to do with the laptop. So they're going after innocent people and just trying to destroy them. On our lawfare specifically, in 22, we had a budget of $195,000. That is, paying for our private investigator databases, my salary, and our independent contractors. In 23 alone, we spent $295,000 on attorneys. And again, if you're in a criminal trial, that is to be expected. But we haven't done anything wrong, and we're very small to begin with. So $295,000 to us is, more than my house. So, and I'm a young guy with two kids. My wife is pregnant. She's three weeks away from having a little girl. And these are the type of people that the Bidens attack. Morris sued us first for doxing. We won, and now he's appealing that to the California appellate court, state level. So he owes us about $50,000. But while he's appealing it, we can't collect on him. That came first. The second suit was from Hunter in September, and he's suing us under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. That statute requires Hunter to have ownership of the device. Well, guess what? The device is in the custody of the FBI and was just introduced into trial. We got a clone of a hard drive, right? The shop owner gave it to Costello. He and Rudy made many clones of the hard drive. I got one of those, and it was a SanDisk, 500 gigabyte thing that you can pick up for $1.99, $199 at Best Buy. So our copy of the hard drive, on which we wrote our dossier, which I believe is one of the best pieces of opposition research in American political history in terms of its breadth and depth. I'm not saying it's the most important one, but it is a total beatdown of Joe and Hunter, and they know that, and that's why this lawfare is. It's a complete rundown of the family. And right now, to update people, we are waiting on a decision from a judge that was appointed by Joe. Hernan Vera is our Marxist judge in the Central District of California. We had an hour-long oral argument on May 16th with our attorney and Hunter's attorney at Winston and Strawn another horrible law firm contributing to this fiasco, and we're awaiting his decision. If we don't get it dismissed, we will appeal to the Ninth Circuit immediately. We're still over a year out from a trial, and we're going to throw the legal kitchen sink at these guys, even if we get to a trial.
Yeah, it is. I had to go out and raise the money to hire a Delaware attorney to quash subpoenas for me, exploring my handling of Hunter Biden's laptop materials, which I never handled. It was, it's intimidation, really. It is. They just really want to shut you up. That's really what this is about. But if I step back and look at it strictly from a political point of view, it appears to me that in this case they have charged and tried Hunter with the least crime that they could, one that does not lead to Joe, most importantly. This allows them to say, oh, no, you see, we don't have a two-tiered justice system. We're only trying to lock up the former president of the United States in a trial in New York in which we can't even identify the underlying crime that makes these financial transactions in the Trump organization a felony. Now they can point to Hunter Biden and say, oh, you see, we locked him, we charged him, and he was convicted. So that's equal justice. I think the White House is parsing words here very, very carefully. Although the President Biden has said he will not pardon his son, he has not said that he will not commute his sentence. Even in my case, the commutation came first, 48 hours before I was to be shipped to a dank Georgia prison far from my home, kind of a violation of the Bureau of Prison Regulations, where I was supposed to die of COVID. Unfortunately for the deep state, that didn't happen. Aren't they playing the same game here?
They are, and they're expecting the public just to buy hook, line, and sinker this sob story that, my God, Joey's going to let his most precious thing go to the clink. And I'm a doubting Thomas on this because Joe has been a plagiarist and a liar from the beginning, and we have every reason to be a doubting Thomas. And so until Hunter sits in the concrete box with his Secret Service agent in tow, I won't believe it. And remember, it's a timing game, too. You don't have to remember that, but for our listeners, November 5th, that's what they want. They do not want a surrender date before that date. Even if Hunter gets sentenced to prison, if the surrender date is November 15th, they have no problem. Because win or lose, Joey is now a lame duck. He has nothing to worry about. He's never running again because he's going to die in a couple of years anyways. And he's termed out. And so it's a perfect opportunity for them to not have to address it till the election and just say, you know what, Hunter, stay out there in Malibu with smoke some bongs with Kevin Morris and just stay out of trouble. And we're going to take care of you on November 11th or something like that, right after the election, but before you have to report.
Garrett, what did you make of these reports roughly a week ago that the Central Intelligence Agency blocked investigators from interviewing Kevin Morris, the Hollywood lawyer, producer, screenwriter, sugar daddy of Hunter Biden?
I think they're incredible reports for two reasons. Number one, the guy who came forward and put it in an affidavit, Gary Shapley, has been proven right on absolutely everything. That first whistleblower, Gary Shapley, has been vindicated on every material point he's made since May of 2023. That's number one. Number two, Kevin has been in Hollywood since 1990. I think he graduated from NYU in '88, and he moved to LA in 1990. That is important because somebody who's been out there for 34 years has deep and long-standing relationships. Shapley never alleged that he's a paid informant, right? And we agree with that. We don't look at Kevin that way just because he's such a degenerate. I don't think they would want to risk having him be on the quote-unquote payroll. But he does from the outside, meaning being the chief lawyer for South Park, doing all these different projects, seem like the perfect guy just to have on as a friend. right? Just to be there if you need somebody who has their ear to the ground to scope something out. Because he doesn't need the money, first of all. The CIA wouldn't need to pay him. And second of all, the specifics about the allegation from Chappell, I guess this is my third point, are very fine. For example, they didn't just say Leslie Wolf went to Langley and got a briefing from the CIA personnel. And she's like a soccer mom who bragged about getting a coffee mug from the CIA gift shop, like a soccer mom would, right? Pathetic. So not only is Leslie Wolf engaging in despicable behavior and assenting to the CIA's illegal request not to look into Kevin Morris and have him as a witness in the case against Hunter, she's bragging about a gift shop. But the second person, there were two people named. One, Leslie Wolf, we've gone into her, and everybody knows her name now. But this other DOJ official, Jack Morgan, that is who we're interested in, because we always try to go after the weakest link, and this guy seems to have more to lose than Leslie Wolf, and he's in the tax division of the DOJ, and I guarantee you that's the first time he's ever been summoned to go to Langley to receive a briefing on somebody. So what does this mean? This means that Marco Polo and all of our PIs are looking deeply into this Jack Morgan figure and trying, without success so far, to convince the Congress, specifically a couple of people on the Oversight Committee, to get a backbone and subpoena Jack Morgan. They're in a lawsuit against the DOJ right now about Jack Morgan, and we think they need to send another subpoena about this CIA meeting. So while they're litigating the one subpoena, say, hey, look, we got new intel that says you went with Leslie Wolf in 2017 to the CIA. What was that all about?
Folks, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Garrett Ziegler of the Marco Polo USA organization about the recent Hunter Biden trial, and we'll be right back.